Are going to be joined by Major Elliot Chodoff, political and military analyst with the IDF's Northern Command. Elliot, it's good to have you with us.
Good to be back.
Elliot, question for you, because we see this escalation on the northern border that's at a constant level. There's the refrain that Israel cannot go back to the paradigm before October 7th, and that 70,000 displaced Israelis can't return to the northern border as long as Hezbollah is standing there on the border ready to carry out a massive attack again. So what's the plan? They keep on escalating. There's no real signs of any de-escalation. How is the IDF going to force them back past the 1701 UN resolution line?
Okay, first of all, I think it's important to understand that the escalation has been quantitative, not qualitative. In other words, we see numbers of attacks along the border. We don't see a significant qualitative change in the nature of those attacks. In other words, we're not seeing attacks deeper into Israel. We're not seeing massive rocket fire into Israel. Hezbollah is stepping up their activity, I believe in large part because in the south, the IDF is closing in on Hamas's center in Khan Yunis, and they want to show that they're part of the game, if nothing else. They can't simply stand by and watch Hamas get crushed and do nothing at all and be blamed later that they did nothing along the way. Having said all of that, very similar to what we permitted in Gaza, I would say even more so, we've permitted Hezbollah since 2006 to build up in South Lebanon, to continue to increase its strength quantitatively and qualitatively in training and organization and the quality of their troops. And having seen what happened on October 7th, I don't see any way we can go back to that in the north as well. There's no diplomatic solution to that. And I think we need to be clear on that. UN resolutions look very nice on paper. They're absolutely useless on the ground unless they're enforced. The UN is not going to enforce it. So driving Hezbollah away from the border is something that needs to be done physically. I believe that requires some sort of a ground operation in South Lebanon, but I think that's also largely contingent on how long the Gaza operation takes, how successful it is in terms of its absolute success, and then whether Israel and its allies have the stamina to go into another round against Hezbollah.
But without the stamina to do so, isn't that just kicking the can down the road for another few years? With each year, they simply arm up more.
Absolutely. There's no question it would be a strategic error to leave them where they are. Grand strategic error. It's one that we'll need to face, as you say, kicking the can down the road, and it's not even clear how far down the road the can is going. But still, political decisions, and this is really ultimately a political, not a military decision. The Army will do it if it's told to do it, and I think we'll do it with great satisfaction. But it's a political decision, and the fact is most political decisions are made on very short-term issues. And that's done here. It's done in the United States. It's certainly a quality of democracy. What does public opinion think at the moment? What is public opinion willing to absorb at the moment? What do budgets look like? And in our case, what do our allies have to say as well? Because frankly, if an ally like the United States says we're not going to support you in this, we're withdrawing our forces from the Mediterranean, we're not going to resupply you, we've got a problem.
Now, we did see a very interesting report in Lebanese Hezbollah-affiliated media, actually, saying that there is some discussions now between Lebanon and France to do some sort of political deal related to a ceasefire in Gaza that could see Hezbollah withdraw behind the Litani River line. Is this hot air? What incentive did they have to allow this in their affiliated media? Are they simply buying time, looking for de-escalation, kicking the can down the road themselves?
Yes. Look, kicking the can down the road works for them much better than it works for us, because even if they withdraw tomorrow to behind the Litani, the day after tomorrow, they're going to begin infiltrating back into the south. So if they can get some sort of a deal, which I don't see happening, but if they can get some sort of a deal that includes the IDF stopping its operations in Gaza, quiet along the northern border as a consequence of that, they will nominally pull back north of the Litani. They'll pull back as far north as we ask them to, because as soon as everything's in place, they'll begin trickling back. And here the trickling is critical. because we're not going to go to war over 10 Hezbollah terrorists across the Litani. We're not going to go to war over 20. And then it'll be another 20 and another 10 and another 20 and another 10. And they have all the time in the world. So a year from now, 2 years from now, we're right back where we are today.